Alright guys, I wanted to make this video yesterday, but I didn't have the time, so I'll deal with it today, and it is rather funny. We all know and laugh at his royal wokeness, the Prince of Soy, and his lefty spunk trumpet, Meghan Markle, because they are constantly popping up, talking crap about some so-called virtuous cause that they think will get them some good publicity, and likely make them a few quid on the way. It is the cringiest thing ever, and given they left the royals within a year of marrying, it would suggest money was always the driver here, as we recently see when they signed a deal with Spotify to do a podcast to add to the Netflix deal that they've already got. And I'm hearing this Spotify deal is worth a shitload, proving it's all about the money for Harry now. Possibly worth tens of millions of pounds for this multi-year deal, which adds to the 100-odd million that they got for the Netflix one. But now this new Spotify deal has got a bunch of artists salty because Spotify pays them peanuts while they splash millions of pounds on podcasts by sanctimonious tosspots like the Prince of Soy here. You have to remember the deal with Joe Rogan made some sense for Spotify, but this Harry and Meghan one could well be a big mistake. I am not sure about the couple's popularity in the States, but in the UK they are considered about as highly as a bit of dog shit you stepped in on your way to work, which is actually exactly what a YouGov poll stated beyond all doubt. This poll was such a roast into Meghan and Harry that if I was them, I would never be seen in public again, at least not in the UK for sure. The beatdown was biblical by those polled, which of course, knowing polling companies and the people they ask is even more damning on the couple. You know, YouGov asked the middle class types more often than not who are more likely to listen to this woke pair of prats, but the polling results show even YouGov polling base hates their guts with a passion. Now Breitbart gloated about this latest humiliation for the Prince of Soy and his lefty spunk trumpet, so let's take a quick look at that. It headlines, YouGov poll, 89% of Britons not interested in Harry and Meghan. And I would like to bet it's actually more than 89% because YouGov doesn't represent the population, as we have seen many times before. But they could well be onto something here because as we know, most people do not like this sanctimonious pair of tosspots. Harry used to be loved by the people, but not anymore. It says a multi-million podcast deal between Britain's Prince Harry, his wife Meghan and Spotify may prove to be bad business, with a YouGov poll indicating that 89% of Britons are not interested in what they have to say. Which I should note really doesn't require a YouGov poll to find that out, let's be honest, most people would have expected that as a given. Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan have announced they have signed a multi-year deal with Spotify to host and produce exclusive podcasts. How interested are you, if at all, in listening to this? The pollster had asked the public. The response was not likely encouraging for the British-American couple, or indeed Spotify, with just 2% of respondents selecting, I am very interested. 2%. Wow, that is fucking bad. Imagine getting 2% of them from a YouGov poll as well, remember. Lefty spunk trumpets galore deal with YouGov polls. So like I said, this is completely shitting on Meghan and Harry here. The figures for I am fairly interested were not much better, accounting for 5% of respondents, less than half of the proportion who plumped for I am not very interested at 12%, which shows just 7% of people were actually even remotely interested in listening to their crap. More people were not very interested at all, but as it says here, the runaway winners of the poll, however, were the respondents who said they were not interested at all in the couple's podcast, accounting for a whopping 77% of the total. What the fuck? Imagine seeing that and just thinking, oh my fucking god, people must love us. Because you know that's what Meghan Markle and Prince Harry actually think. They will just put this down to a bunch of trolls and Russian bots that have infiltrated YouGov's polling system, which obviously we know will be a load of bollocks. It also says don't knows coming in at just 4%. There seems to be little scope for them to rebalance the results. Yeah, because people ain't gonna listen to what they have to say. Even if most of the public don't hate them, at the end of the day, they never want to hear anything they've got to say because who gives a shit? These people have no idea what it's like to live in the real world. That is the reason why most people do not listen to celebrities or anyone like that. We have seen it over various elections in the past few years. It says while Harry and Meghan retain their Duke and Duchess of Sussex courtesy titles granted to them by Queen Elizabeth II, they have had to stop using the HRH, His Royal, Her Royal Highness titles, having decided to step down as working royals in order to pursue private money-making ventures only a little over a year after Meghan, formerly Meghan Markle, Markle married into the family. Like I said, within a year of getting married, she's off out the door with him, trying to make as much money as possible. The Queen 94 also vetoed their plans to operate under the Sussex Royal brand, stripped their public funding, and arranged for them to repay taxpayers' money used to renovate Frogmore Cottage for them while they were still working royals, although the costs involved appear to be dwarfed by their rumoured earnings from the Spotify deal, a similar deal with Netflix and other moves cashing in on Harry's royal pedigree. Harry, an armed forces veteran who saw active service in Afghanistan, is also set to be deprived of his ceremonial roles as head of various military units, something I covered a couple of months ago and laughed at then. The Prince of Soy should have sorted his fucking life out and stopped with his bullshit, then he wouldn't be in this situation. Though, to be honest, he's making a shitload of money and he's got a lefty spunk trumpet there to do it with him. I guess life can't be that bad. It says the pair have become increasingly political since their decision to go independent, throwing themselves into the climate change movement, and after it became more fashionable following the George Floyd disorder in the United States, Black Lives Matter, which obviously the Prince of Soy and his wife were always going to do. Bandwagon jumping is literally the only thing they've got. It says they also intervened in the US general election, a major break with British constitutional norms, as royals are expected to remain above politics so they can represent all of their countrymen regardless of individual views and act as honest brokers, to urge Americans to reject hate speech, which was widely seen as a thinly veiled endorsement of Democratic nominee Joe Biden, because that's exactly what it was. As we all know, Harry and Meghan were always going to support a Biden presidency 100%. They suffer from extreme levels of Trump derangement syndrome, something we've pointed out many times before. It says Meghan was vocal in her opposition to President Donald Trump before she married into the royals, branding him misogynistic and vocal about it. Which, no, she is just pandering to the lefty tosspots over in California, because then she was still hoping to get a job. Now she's managed to get a job because she's married a prince. Amazing how that works. President Trump, for his part, said he's not a fan of Meghan, adding, "I wish a lot of luck to Harry because he's going to need it," something I actually also covered at the time. And I've got to say, is 100% fucking true. Imagine having this lefty bint as your wife, sit there rabbiting shit in your ear and controlling him. As we know, she wears the trousers in the relationship. But I do have to say it's rather funny that 89% of people polled in the UK would not want to listen to anything these salty tosspots have to say. And I am proud to tell you that I am one of those 89%. I expect you all knew that anyway. Hopefully the podcast pans and Netflix realise they have fucked up, pays them their money and kicks them to the curb, because they'll have to pay them all of the money from the contract that they've signed. Netflix could be losing out on a fuck ton of money here. I have to say, I do not care.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.